everybody, my name is Hui Hui, and as you can see behind me, I'm in Yishun right now, and I'm not wearing a mask because I'm having my drink with me, so I'm not wearing a mask. And if you think that this is a loophole in the system, then you have to know that other PAP MPs are also doing the same. They remove their masks, they have conversations, and coincidentally, there will be reporters filming their conversation. Coincidentally, there will be reporters taking photos of them. And then coincidentally, there will be people joining their conversation while dining in, even though right now the rule is you can only dine in twos. So is it illegal? Are you trying to tell me that the law works differently for the PAP MPs? Now, before we begin, don't talk about personal attacks because we are not here to criticize each other. And I'm not here to criticize you. What I'm talking about is just government policies that affect my families, my future generation. And apparently, I have 2 Singaporean sons who are born in Singapore. If you don't know about it, well, I gave birth in Singapore twice, last year, the year before, and both times there was no doctor around, and both times no epidural was being administered. So this is the healthcare system in Singapore, whereby one person can give birth without doctor, without epidural, and this is the healthcare system of Singapore. Of course, if you want to read more, that is up to you, but this is not the purpose of the videos right now. As for those people who want to talk about children and genetics, do you see me talking about the Prime Minister and his genetics? Do you see me criticizing the Prime Minister policies, or do you see me criticizing the Prime Minister children? So if you want to talk about, we talk about the policies. And don't drag the spouse into the conversation. If you want to drag spouse into the conversation, do you see me talking about PAP MPs and their spouse? Like for example, PAP MPs such as Michael Palmer or PAP MPs such as David Ong. Do you want me to talk about PAP MPs and their spouse and how they actually treat their spouse? No, this is not the things we want to talk about. What we are trying to talk about are government policies that affect our future generations. And for me right now, as a resident of Yishun Melody Spring, I'm talking about policies that affect my families and my future generations. Next up, there are people who like to say that this whole video is trying to attack one particular person. No, I'm not here to attack anybody. I'm just here to talk about how the estate is, and it just so happens that my estate is under this person called Derek and is led by Shamugam. If I want to be personal, I would have talked about like how resources is being used to manhandle me in Parliament just because I happen to hold a piece of paper printed with someone's wife book cover. So do you think that this is a waste of taxpayers' money to ask the police force to manhandle me in Parliament just because I'm holding a piece of paper on my chest? Why are you even looking at my chest in the first place? You should be focusing on the person being interviewed. You should be focusing on the ministers instead. So why are you looking at my chest and the piece of paper? Did I hold a piece of paper up high? No, I didn't. So why is the minister being so sensitive towards it? Why are taxpayers' money being spent to hire people to manhandle me in Parliament? Is this how Singapore's resources is being used? There are also a lot of PRCs and new citizens commenting on my post below asking me to speak in Chinese. But this is Singapore. In Singapore, we speak English. And our national language is supposed to be Malay, so why bring Chinese into the picture? You mean this is China? Next up, there are a lot of people over here commenting who I am. Well, if you are looking at this video right now, then there is an icon over there with my name, which means my name is Hui Hui. So with that, you can Google search and you can know a lot of other things. Back to the topic of today, which is homeless people in Singapore. Of course, to the PAP supporters, there are no homeless people in Singapore. However, it is reported in the news that there are thousands of people being homeless in Singapore. So why are there thousands of people being homeless in Singapore? This is because Singapore has a failed housing policy. If Singapore has a successful housing policy, would such a small country have thousands of people being homeless in Singapore? No. And why is it that PAP supporters cannot accept the fact that there are thousands of people being homeless in Singapore? Is it because they have blind support for the PAP? Is it because they are ignorant to the facts? Or is it because they do not trust SPH and what the SPH actually published? This is because SPH is actually ranked 160 out of less than 200 countries in the world. So Singapore has been ranked at the bottom 160th position, which is the worst position Singapore has ever had. This is because we have a Prime Minister who enjoys suing people and blocking people such as me, just because we question the policy. But does it mean that we hate the government? No, we don't hate them. We just hope that they will improve for our future generation. Why can't they improve for our future generation? Why is it that the government only thinks about them? Why is it that the PAP supporters always has blind faith towards them? Why can't they use their brain and think? Tackle the question, tackle the policy. And if there is something wrong about it, solve it. If you think that there's no homeless in Singapore, then you make sure these thousands of Singaporeans are not homeless. Then there will be nothing for people to talk about. As for those people who want to talk about healthcare, as some comments are appearing right now, if you want to talk about healthcare in Singapore and how I should go to the hospital, well, the good news for you is that I will be going to the hospital. Then leave your comments down below and let me know what I should take note of in the hospital and how Singapore's healthcare policy is like. Do you think hospital is actually accurate in their bills? Do they overcharge people? Can they even get the people's name correctly? Leave your comments down below because I have a lot of examples and I have a lot of cases with me right now with my volunteers on how the Singapore healthcare system is a failure. But that is also not the point of today's posting. Today's posting is to say that more than half of the Singapore population is actually worried about their job. It's actually worried about not being able to pay for their housing mortgage to set up the family in Singapore and for their children's future. So why are Singaporeans afraid of that? This is because in my previous videos, I have already mentioned there are more than 40,000 Singaporean families who are homeless right now because of the delay in our BTO system. So why is there a delay in this BTO system? It's because the government keep asking people to pay for the house first, to apply for the house first, claiming that they can deliver it on time, but they do not have the foresight to know that they will not be able to do it. They do not have the foresight like last time. They should have built the house first, get it ready, then start selling it to people so that people can get the keys immediately. Instead, all they know how to do is to collect money first because housing is a cash cow to the Singapore government. And this is the failure in our housing policy. You need to accept that this is the failure in our housing policy and then think of how we can help them. Because thousands of Singaporeans are being homeless right now, and these thousands of Singaporeans families have actually went to the government to apply for help, to apply that they need a unit to live in. However, the Singapore government has only 160 units available. Only 160 families have a place to stay, whereas thousands of them are homeless right now, living on the streets. And if you think that there is no such thing in Singapore, let me know. There is no problems on this at all. Because I can have the time to go and bring my children around as well to show them this is how sad the Singapore society is. This is how our housing policy is a failure right now, that people are living on the streets. Families are living on the streets right now. So if you agree with me, you can feel free to share this video with your families and friends. If you know of any homeless people who need help, you can leave your comments down below, or you can simply message my volunteers so that my volunteers can get in touch with them. As for how do we actually help them, well, we provide food for them, we provide them with a better bed, because the Singapore government actually start building so-called handles and rails to prevent people from sleeping in public places. They even built spikes under overhead bridge, underground, parks everywhere so that people can't sleep. And there are still people trying their best to get a place just to lie down properly, to have a rest for the night, while waiting for the bureaucracy, in Singapore system, whereby they have to keep applying, they have to fill out various forms and not get a place to stay. So these are the situation right now. And as for those people with a family, just go and Google this thing. There are pregnant mothers in Singapore right now who are homeless. You can simply Google pregnant, homeless, Singapore, and you can see a lot of pregnant mothers who are homeless right now. These are the people that my volunteers, my team, we are helping and we are reaching out for, which is why we know that the statistics is in thousands of them. And the government did admit it in their own Straits Times, in their own SPH articles. If you want to change this situation, you can tell me how we can advocate for it to be better. Because I did send emails and all the solutions to MPs such as Derek and Shanmugam. Of course, sometimes Shanmugam will actually respond to it. He will make changes to the policy, but Derek did nothing at all. He doesn't even reply to it. He has no home, no heart, and no replies towards anything at all. And because of his failure, this is why all the residents are coming to me. If you think that the residents are not coming to me, they are going to him, well, does it mean that there are a lot of problems that despite going to him, they are not solving it? You can leave your comments down below. Feel free to share this video, and we will see you again. Remember, the next video will be at the hospital. So leave your comments down below and let me know what should I take note of in terms of healthcare system in Singapore. Bye bye.